welcome back to another video in this Web Development Foundations series. We have just finished talking about HTML, and now in this video we're going to introduce something called CSS, or Cascading Style Sheets. Basically, CSS is what you're going to use to style your raw HTML code. So I told you before, your HTML file is kind of like the skeleton of your website. Well, if you think about that metaphor, the CSS would be like the skin and the bones, or the skin and the muscles, and kind of the appearance of the website. So the HTML is going to define the overall structure, but how it actually looks and how it's displayed to people that are looking at it is going to be defined by the CSS. And there's a couple different ways that we can do this. So let me just add a couple HTML tags in here. So we'll have an H1. This is our header. And then after that, we'll put a paragraph in there. Just lorem 10 is fine. Now, if I go ahead and save that, you can see we've got our black text on the white background again, which we want to actually apply some styles to that. So if I come in here and I say style and set this equal to the color, we can say color blue. Now if I save that, well, our text is all of a sudden turned blue. So this is, I told you previously that this is basic CSS, and this is actually the most basic and the most convenient way sometimes to apply CSS, but generally we don't do it directly in the tag itself. This is called inline CSS, and that's typically not what we want to do, because we want to take a style and apply it not just to one element and then a new style to every single element. We want to have our elements grouped together by classes, and then we can apply our styles to those classes or those groups of elements instead, because that'll be much more convenient to do it that way overall, and it will be much more maintainable when we go back to change and try to modify how our look and feel of our website looks. So this is called inline, but if I were to take the same thing and cut that out and now come up here, if inside my header I add a style tag, so this is called internal, because it's internal to this file. And now if inside this header tag, I want to say H1, and basically I can put that same thing here. I can say color, and then I can say blue. So here we have our H1 is going to be called our selector, and I can select based on the element type, or if I had a class name in here, I could select based on that class name. And let me just change this to a different color so we can verify, yep, it is in fact changing on our website as well. So if instead of here I had a class equal to header1, now I can take that header1 and I can apply it there and save. Whoops, we actually want dot header1. So if you're doing it by class name, you have to do dot and then the class name. So here we have dot header1, and then inside of here we have our color red. So because we have our selector set to our class name, this color is now set to our text is now set to this color. Now I know some inquisitive students here might be thinking, okay, well, what if we do both of them? So if I have my style set up here in my internal CSS, what if I also have a style in my inline? And I say style equals, and then I do the same attribute, color, and I say maybe, I don't know, blue violet. Okay, so now if we save that, you can see actually this color has changed to blue violet. So even though we have it defined here, or rather, even though we have it defined internally for our file up here for red, it's defined down here for blue violet. So what if in here I add another class name for my p tag, and let's just name this the same one, header1. So now you can see my p tag changes to the red color, but because we don't have the blue violet style applied on the p tag is red instead of this purple violet. So basically whatever CSS application that's closer to the element is what it's going to take. So if I have a style down here internally inside of this H1 tag, it's going to take that. But if I don't have that, then it's going to take the red up above. So let's go ahead and delete that style down here. And basically, we can change a whole bunch of different attributes in here. So we can have like background color, and we can set that to, I don't know, beige. And now if I save that, you can see we have this beige background color with the red text. And obviously this still looks terrible, but I'm just showing you how we can change colors and basically apply CSS styles inside of our application. So in here, you remember this one, if you apply it directly inside the HTML tag, that's called inline. And then if you apply it up here inside of our head for our HTML file, this is called internal. But if I just comment this out really quick, there's another way, and actually this is the preferred way to do it, especially if you're working with a large project and you want to have consistent themes and styles across the board, across all of your different web pages. We want to actually store that in a separate file, and then we can use all of the colors and styles and themes from that CSS file to apply all throughout our application. So if I wanted to do that, I can say link and then colon CSS. And here we go. This is going to create a link for me that's called a style sheet, because we're doing CSS, again, stands for Cascading Style Sheets. And then inside here, I've got this style.css. Well, if you look in my file explorer right now, obviously I only have an index.html. So we need to create that file, and we could right click and say new file and make it, or we can just control click on style.css. And you'll get this pop-up that says the editor couldn't be opened, and then you can just create the file. So now that we have this, we can come in here and let's just say that this has two tags, right? We've got header 1, and then this P is going to be header 1 P1. So now in here, I can apply a style for header 1. And in here, let's just say background color is going to be equal to, I don't know, green. And then down here for P1, we can say background color is going to be equal to red. Okay, so what do you think is going to happen if I do this now? And the answer, of course, is nothing, because we haven't saved this file yet. So let's go ahead and save that file. And now you have my header 1. And if you look here, our background for header 1 should be green, and it is that, but also this header 1 class is applied to our P tag down here as well. We have header 1 and P1, and yet the background that we're getting is all red. And that is, so if I cut that P1 tag out of there and now save our file again, you can see the green is applied. And if I put the P1 back in here, you can see the red is applied again. So regardless of if my P1 is to the left of header 1 or to the right of header 1, this is still getting the P1 styles and not the header 1 styles. And that's because it's not actually going by our class order here. It's going by our style order in our style.css. So if here I have header 1, it's going to apply green, and then it's going to hit P1 and it's going to apply red. So if I were to take P1 and cut that and actually paste that above header 1 and now save the file, even though I have P1 in here applying red, because I have header 1 as a class on that file as well, and because in our style sheet, header 1 comes after the P1, so basically it's going to take the attribute and the styles from the header 1 block down here. So hopefully this has been just a quick, brief, very high-level overview of CSS for you. And basically what you need to take away from this video is that CSS is what we're going to use to apply styling inside of our website. And there's 3 different ways you can do that. You can do that directly inside of your HTML tag here just by applying the style attribute and then setting it to whatever you want. But this is generally not what we're going to want to do, and it's not the preferred practice. Another way, if you're just doing a simple one HTML document website, you can do just like we have here, where you have the styles applied internally within that file itself. But again, generally, if you're working on a bigger project, this is not preferred. The preferred method is going to be having a separate CSS style sheet that we're going to be using to basically define all of our styles so that we can use that across our application. And then in here, this is the selector, and you can go by class name, you can go by ID name, or you can go by element type name. And even in here, let's say I have a div tag under here. So I'll put a div tag in here, and for that div tag, we'll give it a class name, and we're just going to set that equal to my div. And then inside this div tag, let's say we have a couple anchor tags, and this can just be to https test.com. Let's copy that line a few times. So now if I save that, this height is a little too small. Maybe we'll make that 50 pixels instead. So save that. Now you can see, well, we probably want to put test. We'll need some text actually inside of our link so that you can see it. And then if I save that, you can see I've got my 4 links, and they're all just the standard blue with the underline. But if I wanted to change all of those at one time, I can come in here, and I could change styles for that my div in general. So I could say my div, and then inside of there, I could say background color and make that equal to maybe aqua. And save that, and you can see we get that aqua all the way across. But what if instead of changing my div, I want to change every anchor tag inside of my div? So I can do that by selecting my div, and then if I put A, this is going to actually select every anchor tag that exists within anything with the my div class. So now I can say color, and instead of having that be blue, I can say color equal to red. And now if we save that, you can see that that red has been applied to every single anchor tag inside of there. So hopefully this makes sense. If not, don't worry, we have plenty of time to go through CSS, and we're going to go through a whole bunch of different styles and displays and applications of this. And because this is actually really important, especially if you want to have a good modern looking website that's responsive and that can be shown and displayed in a good way on devices with a whole range of different screen sizes. So we will see you in the next video as we continue learning CSS.